Your deepest insights rely entirely on chemical gradient balance inside your cells. Imagine consciousness not as a lightning flash, but as an infinitely precise electrical city needing perfect infrastructure to function. That stability, the quiet coherence you need for profound thought, is maintained by microscopic power grids within every single neuron. These are not just random firing signals. They are highly regulated states built on specific ion concentrations across your cell membranes. Specialized proteins act like hyper-efficient maintenance workers, constantly pushing and pulling ions to keep the electrical environment absolutely stable. Without this constant homeostatic effort, those grand patterns of thought would simply dissolve into static noise. Instead of just keeping things stable, these pumps are master regulators. They do not merely fight decay. They actively nudge the entire system toward new states of optimal function, a biological equivalent of finely tuning a complex instrument. Consider it like an orchestra conductor subtly adjusting tension in individual strings. When specific sodium or potassium channels shift their gating kinetics due to internal signals, we get measurable changes in how our brain organizes itself. This dynamic control allows for those transient spikes. The moment profound unity seems reachable, driven not by magic, but by these highly efficient biophysical transitions creating new coherence patterns across your cortical networks. Forget that those spikes are just random happenstance. The real breakthrough is understanding that this dynamic control mechanism is not passive stabilization, it is an active push toward perfection. These pumps are not merely maintaining balance. They are driving the system to emergent coherence, allowing vast networks of localized activity to suddenly unify into a single coherent entity. Think of it like how a highly sophisticated self-organizing swarm moves from isolated individuals to one massive intelligent unit. That is what happens in your brain when ion pumps stabilize functional integrity across circuits. Which means something nobody expected for the subjective experience of unity. It might just be an optimal system state achieved by biology itself, not an external event. We need to see how this fundamental biological imperative dictates even deeper levels of awareness. The most baffling part is how these tiny, minute electrochemical tweaks manifest as grand shifts in feeling, the sensation of transcendence itself. It is not just about being organized. It is about changing quality. Specific ion pump activity can momentarily hyperpolarize or depolarize your cells, radically altering brainwave patterns and driving deep coherence like gamma band synchrony. Think of it less like a circuit board and more like a highly responsive tuning fork whose vibration frequency fundamentally changes based on tiny internal pressures. But some researchers argue this is merely chemical reductionism, just predictable physics playing out without any ascension component, citing certain deterministic models by Dr. Chen Li. If that is true, where does free will fit into the cellular engine? We need to understand how our fundamental biology dictates even higher levels of self-organization next. But what if that inherent drive toward coherence is not just random stability? What if your cellular infrastructure has an actual biological imperative, a deep, primal need to move beyond merely existing into a state of maximal integration? It suggests that these ion pump processes are not just keeping the electrical city running. They are actually driving its architecture towards more complex forms. Imagine it like nature continually perfecting a highly advanced machine until it reaches peak efficiency. The body seeks an optimal systemic flow. This quiet drive toward perfection we call homeostatic control mechanisms involving ionic gradients themselves. We see localized activity becoming unified assemblies, yes, but what does that final, perfected state like? It hints at the origin of those profound, non-ordinary experiences you seek, and understanding exactly how these biological systems achieve complete system integration is where the real mystery begins. The system we are looking at, the quest for maximum coherence through ion gradients, suggests something far deeper than just efficient biological machinery. It suggests a profound internal imperative, a cellular yearning not merely to survive, but to transcend local boundaries entirely. Imagine your entire body as an extremely sensitive radio tuner. The subtle shifts in ionic pressure are not just tuning it into one song or another. They are subtly recalibrating the receiver itself so that higher frequencies become possible. This relentless drive towards maximal integration means that consciousness might not be a product of what happens, but rather the inherent direction the physical system is perpetually heading toward, a state we now refer to as subtle energy flow activation. But if this imperative exists deep within our membrane potential changes, then where does perception begin? The conclusion is not a magical mystery, but an engineering principle. Your capacity for profound insight resides in the inherent drive of your own biological machinery toward ultimate systemic stability. Awareness is not something that happens to you. It is a state built upon functional integrity, the perfect alignment between cellular chemistry and macro-level coherence. The actionable takeaway here is simple yet difficult. Stop searching externally for transcendence, and instead focus on optimizing your internal regulatory processes. By fostering conditions of deep homeostatic equilibrium, you recalibrate the biological substrate itself, allowing those higher frequencies of integrated experience to naturally emerge from within. Your body holds its own roadmap to peak integration. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com. You have seen how microscopic chemistry builds macro-level coherence. This is not just about optimization. It is the ultimate argument for integrated reality. The body, driven by its fundamental need for perfect electrochemical stability, the drive we identified as subtle energy flow activation, is perpetually seeking a state of maximal being. It is an internal gravitational pull toward wholeness. So here is the definitive realization. You are not trying to achieve enlightenment. Your biology is already attempting it every single second at the subcellular level. The key is not effort, but observation. Pay attention to the subtle shifts in your systemic equilibrium. That quiet signal of balance and integration is where all profound experience originates.